Hello everyone! Welcome back sa aking YouTube channel. So for today's lesson, we are going to discuss about axioms. Objectives illustrate the need for an axiomatic structure of a mathematical system in general and particularly in axioms. So what is the definition of axioms? Axiom is a mathematical statement that is accepted to be true without any proof. In general, we use postulate in geometry that was being discussed in the last module, and axiom in other sections of mathematics. These are useful in proving theorems and other statements in geometry. So, discuss na natin kung ano-ano ba yung mga axioms na meron tayo. We have the properties of equalities. Sa first column, we have the property. In the second column, meron tayong mga illustration. So, let's assume that A, B, C, and D are real numbers. So, first property is the reflexive property of equality. We have A equals A. Next is the symmetric property of equality. If A equals B, then B equals A. Transitive property of equality. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Addition property of equality. If A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. Or if A equals B and C equals D, then A plus C equals B plus D. Kung ano po yung in-add natin sa left side, ganun din yung i-add natin sa right side to equate the equation. Okay? In this property, we add C in the left side and we add also C to the right side. Next, we have the subtraction property of equality. Kung sa addition property of equality, nag-add tayo. Dito ay magsa-subtract tayo. We have if A equals B, then A minus C equals B minus C. Or A equals B and C equals D, then A minus C is equal to B minus D. Kung ano yung minus natin or sinubtract natin kay left side, ganun din yung isa-subtract natin kay right side. Okay? Next, we have the multiplication property of equality. Here, in multiplication property of equality, kung ano yung multiply natin kay left side ay hindi yung i-multiply natin kay right side. So, if A equals B, then A times C is equal to B times C. Okay? Number 7, division property of equality. Kung ano yung dinivide natin kay left side, ayun din yung i-divide natin kay right side. We have A equals B and C is not equal to 0 because kapag naging 0 si letter C as a denominator, magiging undefined na po ang ating equation. Okay, if A equals B, then C is not equal to 0, then A divided by C is equal to B divided by C. Okay, substitution property of equality. If A equals B, then A may be replaced by B in any equation. So, pwedeng mapalitan ni B si A through substitution property of equality. Next, we have the properties of congruence. First is the reflexive property of congruence. Segment AB is congruent to segment AB. What is the difference between the properties of equality and properties of congruence? Ang ginagamit po nating sign sa property of equality is equal sign. Pagdating sa properties of congruence, ang ginagamit po natin ay congruent sign. Okay, next, we have the symmetric property of congruence. If segment AB is congruent to segment CD, then segment CD is congruent to segment AB. Okay. Next, we have the transitive property of congruence. If angle A is congruent to angle B and angle B is congruent to angle C, then angle A is congruent to angle C. So let's have an example. Name the property illustrated below. Letter A. If AB is a real number, then AB equals AB. We have reflexive property of equality. Letter B. If AB is equal to CD, then CD equals AB. This is symmetric property of equality. Letter C, if measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 2 and measure of angle 3 is equal to measure of angle 4, then measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 3 is equal to measure of angle 2 plus measure of angle 4. Since involved ang addition, the property that we used here is addition property of equality. Letter D, if JK is equal to LM and LM is equal to NO, then JK is equal to NO. So this is a transitive property of equality. Letter E, if X minus 5 is equal to 10, then X equals 15. Ano kayang property ang ginamit dito? We have the addition property of equality. Bakit addition property of equality? Because to get x equals 15, we need to add 5 both sides to cancel negative 5 here. To isolate negative 5, so we have x. X minus 5 plus 5. Cancel si negative 5 plus 5. So we have x, and then sa kabilang side, 10 plus 5 is equal to 15. Addition property of equality, kung ano yung in-add sa kabilang side, ayon din yung i-add sa kabilang side. So let's have letter F. If 1/2 AB is equal to 10, then AB is equal to 20. Anong property of equality ang ginamit dito? We use the multiplication property of equality. Why? Because we multiply 2 to this side and to this side. We need to multiply positive 2 to isolate the denominator to here to cancel. Positive 2, which is yung denominator. We have AB, and then 10 times 2 is 20. So, that's how we use multiplication property of equality dito sa ating example. Next, we have letter G. If x plus 3 equals 25, then x equals 22. Anong property of equality ang ginamit? We used subtraction property of equality. Because we subtract 3 both sides to isolate 3 here, and ang natira ay si x. 25 minus 3 is 22. Next, letter H. If 2x equals 6, then x equals 3. So, we use the division property of equality. We divide 2 both sides to isolate 2. 2x divided by 2 is x, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Next, we have I. If measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B plus 35 degrees, and measure of angle B is equal to 56 degrees, then measure of angle A is equal to 56 degrees plus 35 degrees. So, ang ginamit po natin property dito ay substitution property of equality. Kung nakita nyo, si measure of angle B ay pinalitan ni 56 degree dito. Ini-replace niya po si measure of angle B. Next is letter J. If segment BP is congruent to segment EX and segment EX is congruent to segment JH, then segment BP is congruent to segment JH. So, we use the transitive property of congruence. Congruence because we use the congruent sign. Next is letter K. If angle BEX is congruent to angle BAC, then angle BAC is congruent to angle TEX. So we used here the symmetric property of congruence. Lastly is letter L. Angle A is congruent to angle A. This is a reflexive property of congruence. So that's all for today. I hope you're learning.